Okay, thank you. Welcome to the planning meeting on this day, the 14th of July. Welcome to councillors, welcome officers, and welcome to members of the public which have joined us this evening. The first item on the agenda is apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies received? No, okay. Number 2, declarations of interest. Do any councillors have any declarations they'd like to speak of now? Yes, Councillor Arlett.
Yes, Chairman. I'm going to declare an interest non-pecuniary in 9 Gravel Hill. I'm the Town Council's trustee on the Henley Housing Trust. So I think I'll take no part in the debate on that one.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Any other councillors? No. Okay, we'll move on then. The next item on the agenda is number 3, the minutes of the last meeting. Do I have a proposer for acceptance? Yes, Councillor Gavishak, thank you. And a seconder? Councillor Crook, thank you. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. So the next item on the agenda is our public participation section. And we do have tonight a number of speakers. So in order that we can get through everybody who wishes to speak, I will be quite strict about the 2 to 3 minute speaking time. If you are speaking about the same planning application, we'd be very grateful if you try not to make the same points as the previous person. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have a list here and I'm just going to go to the first person. I'll do this on order of receipt. So the first person I have is Jade Mackenzie with Edward Caldwell. Can you please, where are you? Are you?
Here we are.
Oh yes,
Hi there.
hello there. Hello, good evening to you.
Good evening.
So if you wouldn't mind just stating your name and your address, and then thirdly the application you're speaking to, and whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm Edward Caldwell and
Jade Mackenzie
from 6B Reading Road, and this is regarding planning permission P20 S0510 FUL, i.e. the land behind 16 Reading Road. As you know, there's been a planning submission for a set of three 1-bedroom flats that will rise to the height of our flat. It's particularly concerning because although there has been a light study put in that, as I gather, unsurprisingly sort of favours the elements of the planning put forward, it doesn't take in consideration lots of the ambient lighting that the way light interacts sort of from the surrounding area. It's based on sort of there being a point source of light, and it's sort of very oversimplistic. The reality is it would be an incredibly overpowering structure that sits a full story above our flat. There's a very problematic, aside from just the building process, there's this issue of access. There are actually points where that flat will look directly into our flat based on the plans, and I've submitted some imagery and notes that further illustrate the issues, but it's incredibly concerning. It's already quite a tight configuration in terms of housing here, and it essentially would change the complete dynamic of our of the place we've come to love as our home. And it's incredibly also concerning because we're expecting a child in the coming months, and aside from, which I know is a civil matter, all the issues that would arise from building construction, dust, etc., the long-term impacts of noise and pollution in various forms, something that's will potentially pose a health matter. Again, I've at the risk of sort of running over my 2 minutes, I put a more comprehensive more comprehensive sort of outline of the points. Would it be suitable for me to give you a view of where the permission will be, the planning application will be?
What you mean, out of your window?
Yes.
All the documents.
Very, very quickly, yeah.
So as you can see, there's quite a lot of sky that sort of contributes to the light that will enter into our flat here. So this is our dining room, sitting room, and kitchen. Based on the plans, the flat will rise up to the full height of the roofs, the highest point. It will come across, and it'll basically block out that whole space of basically of sky. And the flat will rise a full story above here, which will overshadow all three flats here, posing quite a significant change to the sort of dynamic. And do you have access to the notes I put forward online?
Mr. Mackenzie, thank you very much. That's very much appreciated. You have gone slightly over, but
sorry,
you're absolutely fine with that. That's quite all right. So what I'm going to do now, Mr. Mackenzie, is just going to ask councillors if they have any questions for you. Councillors? No. Okay, no questions. All right. Thank you very much. And you're welcome to stay on, of course, and listen to the debate. So next I'm calling Paul Scrivens. Hello, Mr. Scrivens.
Good evening.
Please state your address and which application you're speaking to, and then whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'm speaking to the same one as Jade and Ed, which is P20 X0510 4. I live at 6D, D for Delta, Reading Road, RG9 1AG. So, as you're probably aware, I represented the flats, as did Jade, in February when this application was put forward in the first instance, and the Town Council unanimously rejected or objected to the application. Since then, they've the proposer has conducted a full light survey, which they did from ground level. They didn't enter our properties at all to conduct that. So they did it from drawings that they had. And they also, at the time, I was unsure of what cladding they were going to put on the stairwell, and they have now come back with a proposal for that. So I'm going to essentially address those 2 points, because those are the new points that have been added since the last application, as indeed Ed and Jade have probably done. With regard to the light survey conducted by the applicant, the proposal fails on the first 2 criteria of a light survey. The first one being it fails on the distance check, i.e. the flats are too close. And secondly, it fails on what they call the 25-degree rule, which means essentially from the windows, the property will be more than 25 degrees towards our properties. You can obviously tell that from the pictures that Ed has just shown you through the video link. Failing on those 2 criteria already suggests that light, and particularly the outlook of the amenity, will be severely affected on the amenity of all dwellers of the flats 6B, 6C and 6D. Obviously, you know, the roof windows are grossly overshadowed. In addition to this, there are 2 properties, 14C and 14D, which is cottages behind 14 Reading Road, which have roof lights, and they weren't even considered in the light survey. They were, you know, they weren't in there. Obviously, from ground level, you can't see them, but you can actually see them from where we are. And the new property will actually be due south of those windows, so their roof lights will be completely obscured by the new property. In terms of the newly proposed cladding, it's actually a steel cladding that they're proposing to put on the outside of this building. Now, it's completely out of keeping with the surrounding buildings, both old and new. Our properties, and indeed the front of Reading Road, I think you're all aware of what that looks like. Those are all the properties are built of red brick with clay roof tiles, either black or red. It'd effectively be like a spaceship has landed or ready to take off right next to our properties. And Henley is not a place for the Gherkin or the Shard or any type of building like that, whether it be seen from Reading Road or not. It's still unclear what material the actual roof will be made of, and indeed the actual roof of the stairwell itself. The sides will be steel, but the roof won't, whether it would be black or some other color is still unclear. So I've just addressed the two new points. Obviously, it was rejected by the council last time. I can go on, but I've made comments substantially already for this case as well. I've added to it. On the advice of Councillor Galaszak, I did contact Simon Kitson following the meeting and invited him to view our properties. He did that prior to COVID-19 lockdown. At the time, the previous application had not lapsed. It actually lapsed during March, which meant that this application was now live. And obviously he didn't make any comment, but he did view the properties from our flats. Okay.
Can you hear me, Mr. Scrivens?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, my internet is showing us, it keeps showing us unstable, so I'm sorry if I'm breaking up a little bit. Thank you very much for making those representations. I'm just going to throw out to councillors to see if they have any questions for you. Yes, Councillor Crook.
I don't know if this is relevant now or I should leave it till the plan.
Just questions, not statements, please.
All right. I'll leave it.
No questions for Mrs. Scrivens. Yes, Councillor Galaszak.
It's really just a question. You referred to me with regard to Simon Kitson. If there has been a light survey done, I would invite Simon out again. It's a new planning application, so therefore he should attend for a second time. Thank you.
A second time. Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much.
Any other councillors' questions? No. Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Scrivens. Of course, you're welcome to stay to hear the deliberations if you wish.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. I have next Linda Collison, please. Linda Collison.
Okay, I'm coming.
Thank you.
Okay. Hello.
If you'd like to just state your address and which application you're speaking about, please.
Okay, well, my address, I live in Rotherfield Peppard, 7 Grange Avenue, but I'm here representing the Henley and District Housing Trust, who are based in Henley, in connection with the application for 9 Gravel Hill P20 S1660LB.
Thank you.
Okay,
whenever you're ready.
Pardon?
Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Okay, so this is an amended application. We've been through this process before. The amendment is to leave in the ceiling on the top floor of the property. In doing this, however, the loft, as they call it, will not be tall enough to house a shower. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to work, because the proposal is to have a shower in the top room, and using the plans, the height of the room simply won't support one. Or if it does, I think there's going to be damage to the ceiling, which they need to leave to protect the beams above. So that's point one. Point two is in connection with the external pipe work. Now, I have submitted a document, I don't know if everybody's seen it, to help explain this, but first of all, it's unclear which pipes are internal or external. And the external down pipe, SVP pipe, it's unclear as to whether they're going to put a new one in or it's the old one. If they're putting a new pipe in, then I think this should not be treated as an internal only application. It should be treated as externally, because the down pipe is in the garden of the neighbouring property. If it remains as it should, then I am concerned about any connection from a new pipe into this old pipe, bearing in mind this is for toilet waste. This isn't just for water, it's for toilet waste. Point 2. Point 3, as I mentioned when I came on the call before, the close proximity of these properties means that any change whatsoever made to the neighbouring property that has some slight impact outside is emphasised in that courtyard, in the garden, and therefore this shouldn't be treated as an internal only application. And the fact that that argument has failed, we do need the planning officer to go and see this from the garden of the neighbouring property to understand the impact next door. If then taking that one step further, my final point being that if this were to be approved, then there should be no obligation on the neighbouring property number 11 to allow for works to be done in their garden. If this is an internal only application, then it shouldn't need that, and that demand should not be put on the neighbour. So in the interest of time, I'm going to stop there because Sue will be talking in a moment and give some different points.
Thank you very much. Councillors, do you have any questions at all? No? Okay, nice and clear, thank you. So next we have Sue James.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
My
Thanks,
screen
Linda.
keeps going all over the place. If you wouldn't mind just stating your address and which application you're speaking to.
Yes, so I'm Sue James. I live at number 11 Gravel Hill, and I'm opposing listed building consent for number 9 Gravel Hill. So I'm the neighbour that Linda is referring to when she's saying that this listed building application has been described as an internal application, meaning that neighbours haven't been consulted. But in fact, a lot of the work is to external waste pipes and external air vents. I think I showed this image before, which shows the cat slide roof with the pipes, which actually run into my tiny little courtyard space. So I'm very concerned about this waste and waste air being dumped into my little living space, which is very enclosed. So that's really picking up on Linda's point about that. And really to emphasise that the interconnectedness of these properties, they're grade 2 listed medieval houses in a historical setting, and the listed building consent needs to be considered in this light, that any development to number 9 severely impacts on number 11, which is a far smaller property, and also number 7. So if we were talking about a detached listed building that was having ensuite bathrooms and external pipe work, the same concerns wouldn't apply. But just to emphasize that these are properties that they're terraced, they're squashed together. The living arrangements are quite unusual, particularly between numbers 9 and 11. You can only really appreciate this by a site visit. So I'm very concerned that the way that this application has been made has skirted round the need to consult neighbours in terms and take into consideration the negative impact it will have on their living conditions, and also on the fabric of their buildings. So we're talking about 15th century timbers and delicate walls. So, you know, will they support all of this extra plumbing work? Certainly on the web comment, the Henley Society have said that the insertion of extensive pipework will damage the structure of the building, but not just of number 9, it will damage potentially numbers 7 and 11 as well. and Henley Archaeological Society state that these are very special and precious survivors of the early town. They are in a conservation area, and the proposed changes are detrimental to preserving the historic fabric of these buildings. So for these reasons, I feel very strongly that the application should be refused.
Thank you. Councillors, do we have any questions? No. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
of course,
Thanks.
we'll stay and hear the deliberations.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have Jane Pickering, please. Jane Pickering?
Yes. Hello.
Oh, hello. Hello there.
Basically, I live at 13 Grace Hill.
Yep.
And it's about number 11 Grace Hill, which is P20 SO89882.
Thank you. Whenever you're ready.
So basically, I did email all the town councillors with my objections, but since then I've actually talked to my neighbour who lives in Australia, and we had a very productive phone call yesterday. So I just wanted to say that we've agreed that I was objecting to the distance of the bedroom wall to my property. I wanted it to be 1 metre, which is what I've got with my extension, and we've agreed on 80 centimetres. So actually, I'm just saying I'm going to drop the objection. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm
okay. Councillors, have you got any questions? I've actually got one question, if you wouldn't mind bearing with me. Is this the one where the they'd already dropped it by 70?
Yes, they reduced the length of the bedroom.
Yeah.
Which was great, which is a really good outcome. And then it was also the distance of the side wall of the bedroom to the boundary. I have an extension as well, so I can't object to the bedroom extension. So my bedroom.
You've got the tunnel of lights going along your lounge.
Yeah,
I understand. Okay. All right. Thank you very much for letting us know. We appreciate that.
You sort of say, oh, it has to be 1 metre, and then
well, it's a good outcome for you then, if you've we'd always encourage neighbours to speak to each other. Okay, so thank you very much. I'm calling on John Furno.
Yes, hello.
Hello, good evening to you. If
Hi
you
there.
could state your address and which application you're speaking to.
Yes, I'm John Furner. I'm the Land Director at Palatine Homes, and I'm speaking in support of our application at 253 Grays Road.
Okay, thank you. Whenever you're ready, I've got your timing here. Whenever you're ready.
We've worked in a positive and proactive way with the Council's planning officer to prepare revised plans that address all concerns raised, and the application now has officer support. The site is located within the developed area of Henley, and our proposals are fully compliant with both local and national policies and policy H4 of the neighbourhood plan. We do not believe the proposals are an overdevelopment of the site, as the proposed houses are of an appropriate size and scale for the plots in which they sit. An appropriate level of spaciousness will be retained around the new houses and from neighbouring dwellings. The spacing between buildings along Grays Road varies significantly, with most buildings set 2 to 3 metres apart. Our proposal provides 2.5 metres and 3 metres spacing for neighbouring properties, which is fully comparable to the surrounding character of the area. Our proposal fully aligns with the aims of the NPPF in providing additional homes and making efficient and effective use of land, ensuring the development makes optimal use of the potential of a site, without compromising or adversely impacting upon the character of the area. Our proposals are almost identical to those approved in 2019 and currently under construction at 245 Grays Road, just 4 doors away. A comparison of the site dimensions shows the almost identical nature of the two schemes. This application was considered by the Town Council and no objection was raised. We see no difference in our proposals. We do not believe the proposals are overbearing for neighbouring properties. The revised proposals have been submitted to improve the relationship with 251 Grays Road, with plot 1 having been moved forward by 2 metres. The proposed dwellings do not breach the 45-degree line from neighbouring windows, and the orientation of the proposed dwellings and the relationship to the neighbouring properties is typical of the area and commonly found in suburban areas. Due to the south-facing nature of the gardens, all gardens, both proposed and existing, would enjoy daylight and sunlight for the majority of the day. The 3 new houses once built would not affect this. The area is predominantly made up of detached dwellings of varied designs and sizes, and proposed replacement dwellings appear a logical form of redevelopment that respects and follows the existing building pattern and character. The proposed scheme involves the retention of the existing mature hedge along the site frontage and the planting of 7 new semi-mature trees, which will provide excellent softening of the proposed new houses. In terms of highway concerns, the proposals have been fully considered by the Highway Authority and they have no objection. The tree removal that took place on site was done so before Palatine were involved in the site and was instructed by the current landowners following years of pressure from the neighbours to remove the trees. Trees that were removed were scruffy, overgrown, tall Lawson cypress trees only, which were not of good quality or specimen. The proposals have been fully considered by SODC's planning officers and consultees who have no objection and are supportive of our proposals. I therefore see no reason why you would not support the recommendation of the planning officer and support this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's just check if we've got any questions from councillors. Councillor Plant.
Just one really, but most of the objections were based around being an overdevelopment of the plot. The changes that you've made to the amended designs haven't addressed that at all. Do you have any statements for that or answers to that point?
Yeah, the only answer I would say is that MPPF encourages developers like ourselves to make efficient and best use of sites. This site is in the developed area of Henley. It's almost identical, as I said, to the site at 245 Grays Road, which was approved. So therefore we see it's not overdevelopment.
Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Gavishak.
Yes. Lawrence has picked up my other point, but returning to the trees, you actually said that a load of trees were removed before you bought the site, and the trees were of low quality. So, do you have an arboricultural report for the trees that were removed?
No, we don't. As I said, when I first saw the site, the trees were removed. So any report that I commissioned, the trees weren't there.
Right. So therefore, you have no objective, independent evidence that the trees that were on the site were of good value, poor value, or mediocre value. You have no evidence for that statement at all.
I have no evidence, but the current landowner has confirmed to me that they were of poor quality. And I think if you were to speak to any of the neighbours surrounding the site, I think they would agree as well.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Furno. Okay, so next I have Colin Cooper.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. If you'd might like to just state your address and which application you're speaking to, please.
Yeah, I live at number 5 Parkside in Henley, and I'm speaking on P20S 2002 full, which is the development of the apartments on the woods at Parkside.
Okay.
Okay, I've put in quite a long piece on the SODC website, so I don't want to repeat the points on there. There's quite a lot wrong with this particular planning application. What I'm asking you to do is really to reject this application. There was a very similar application put in 2 years ago for 10 apartments on this woodland. This is 8 apartments on the woodland. But although it's a slightly smaller building, they've actually brought what was going to be a basement car park out and put it out. So in terms of actual trees affected within the Parkside woodland, it's only a net loss of extra 5 trees. So there would actually be 52 trees cut down in the woodland there. This would completely rip out the heart of that woodland. And you rejected it last time for that reason. and there's very little change with this application. And in fact, there have been many applications over the last 20 years, in fact, and all of which have been rejected because it was woodland. The developers make out that this piece of woodland was accidental, that it's overgrown garden, effectively almost brownfield site. But actually it was very deliberately set up. When Parkside was developed, there's actually in the planning conditions whether this area of woodland was kept aside, separate from the rest of the estate and preserved. And that was all done before the current owner, who's wanting to develop this site, was done. It's been protected woodland, specifically protected. So that continues. One thing that's new is I live right next door to the woodland, so I'm able to observe it quite a lot. And it's also very good habitat for wild animals. In fact, this is scheduled under the 2006 Act of Parliament, Section 41, it's known as, and this is scheduled as priority woodland deciduous by DEFRA. It's actually on their website. There's only 4 or 5 areas in Henley that have this status, so it's particularly important. And I'm pleased to be able to report that there are actually really good set of wildlife there. I mean, apart from the regular animals like herds of deer, foxes, owls and so on that use that, there are protected species, specifically badgers. I have photographed on that, within that woodland. We put a camera trap and have photographs of badgers on that site. Bats, we've recorded the echoes of that and traced them, and have at least 4 different species of bats that we've traced there. And there are 2 birds that are listed as, again, under that Section 41 Act, song thrushes and the lesser spotted woodpecker, which is of the top priority UK-wide and indeed globally for protection. And the fact that this is listed under that Act means that local authorities are legally obliged to protect this type of habitat. It's particularly important in Henley. We don't have much of it. It also, because of where it is up on the western side of Henley, it links up with Friar Park, Packham Prime, and the woodland part of the Henley College estate. And it actually creates a corridor down the western side. And in fact, DEFRA have recently been updating their advice on protecting this priority habitat, not individually, but by the fact that it's linked up, and trying to encourage local authorities to recognise this linkage and preserve it. So not only is it an important woodland, important habitat, if it was lost, because of its position, it would be extremely difficult to mitigate against, which would be what you would seek to try and do. So there's lots of other reasons why this planning application is good. It's overbearing, it's a lot bigger than all the others on Parkside and so on. But those are the 2 main reasons: loss of woodland and loss of protected priority habitat. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Let's throw this out to councillors. Do you have any questions for Mr. Cooper at all? No? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cooper, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Mr. Patrick Fleming, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. Patrick Fleming, 21 Berkshire Road, Henley-on-Thames. And I'm also speaking to P20 S2002 full, which is the Parkside Woodland. And not surprisingly for you lot, I think I'm going to focus on trees particularly. I was first made aware of this when one of our members spotted all the red crosses. All 52 trees have got enormous red crosses put on them, which I think is cheeky really, in that it's an anticipation that they're going to cut those down. And very fortunately, SODC, when they were made aware of it, the tree officer came around and slapped notices on all of them, explaining that they were protected. But I think that really, having got involved in this application, I started reading through all the documents, and in particular, the Arboreal Consultants Report and the Environmental Report. And I think what I'd ask is that you consider just how how the weight of these, when you consider the evidence that Colin has given in terms of the presence of bats, birds. I've personally seen roe deer on the site, and this was a site that the environmental consultant said he could see no evidence of any of these, and so he felt that it wasn't an important habitat. So I think that I feel is important for you to take into account, that the documents actually put before planning are, I feel, underplaying the value of this site. The arboreal consultant's report states that all the trees on this site are either B or C, and I struggle to understand how an 80-year-old oak tree, and there are 4 or 5 of them that are in prime condition, could be considered to be, these are semi-mature trees, they've got another couple of 100 years to live, how they could be considered to be B or C trees. And they're just a few of them. There are some really excellent cherries, there's the maple, there's a lot of silver birch, and I think that all in all, I would just like, if you don't mind, I'd like to read a paragraph from Andrew Hawkins, my neighbour, who's the tree warden for Henley.
As long as it's a minute long.
Yeah, very quick. This woodland forms an attractive entrance to Henley down Gravel Hill. In fact, it's probably the best example of woodland in Henley. Even if only a few trees are removed, the integrity of the wood is lost and any remaining trees are at risk. I've inspected the wood. It contains a fine variety of trees and is excellent for much wildlife, both plants and animals. So that's from Andrew Hawkins. And yeah, I value his advice on trees. And I think just to say that this is a very valuable asset for Henley. It's one of a few priority habitats in Henley, and it should be protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming. Any questions from councillors, please? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, let's move on to the next item of the agenda. That concludes the public participation section. Right, now we have the appointment of subcommittees, their terms of reference and then membership first before we get to item number 6. Okay, so I'm going to make a proposal from the chair that the terms of reference remain the same and the membership.
Sorry, Chair, could I, sorry, forgive me for interrupting.
Gavshak.
Could I ask Colin, it's all right, he's turned it off, to turn off the video so that only the councillors are shown on the screen. That's fine, it's happened. Thank you. Sorry, I apologise, Chair.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Okay, Councillor Plant, thank you. And all those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. So the next item on the agenda is item number 6, and that's the election of the chair for the Neighbourhood Planning Committee. Again, I'd like to make a proposal for the chair, and that is for Councillor Arlott to be chair of this committee. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Plant, thank you. All those in favour? Okay, thank you, that's carried. And the election of the vice chair. Again, I'd like to make a proposal from the chair, and that's for Councillor Plant to be vice chair for the Neighbourhood Planning Committee. Do I have a seconder? Yes, Councillor Clark, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you, that's unanimous. And next is the Transport Strategy Group, the election of the chair. I'd like to make a proposal that Councillor Gavshak continues as chair. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Romans, thank you. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. And again, item number 9, which is election of vice chair for the Transport Strategy Group. I'd like to propose from the chair that Councillor Arlott continues as the vice chair for the Transport Strategy Group. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Plant. All those in favour? Thank you, that's carried. Okay, moving on to items number 10. This is plans, amended plans. And the first one we are going to deliberate is P20 S0510 full application, and this is for land to the rear of 16 Reading Road. Do I have any proposals? Councillor Gavashak.
Yes, Chair. Can I propose
Oh,
that we...
sorry, Councillor Gavashak. Sorry to interrupt you. What I would actually like to do on each application, if it's all okay with councillors, is I'd actually like the planning officer to comment on every application prior to our deliberations. Apologies,
Okay.
that's my mistake.
No, that's
yes,
fine.
over to you, Jodie.
Okay, thank you. So just wanted to note that planning permission was granted for the erection of 3 times 1 bed flats in 2016 and 2017. But these permissions have now lapsed. You'll note the comments that we made previously, and this is for amended plans, including the daylight and sunlight report. Although the principle of this development has already been established, I considered that the amendments wouldn't address those concerns over the impact on the neighbouring amenities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Gavashak, you have had a proposal for us. Please continue.
I propose that we reiterate the refusal of last time.
Yep.
On the grounds that the development would be overbearing and neighbourly, no parking provision, insufficient fire escape routes. But I would like to add that the fact that this light survey has not addressed the scientific reasons from inside the flats of the neighbours, and I think it's perfectly reasonable for actually readings to be taken from the from the neighbouring residential properties with a judgment as to how much that would be reduced when the building happens.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Gavashak. Do I have a seconder? Councillor, yes, I've got several. Okay, good. I'll go for Councillor Crook. Thank you. That's been seconded, so let's put that to the vote. The motion is for refusal. Yes, Councillor Crook.
Yeah, because I actually rang Simon Kitson today about this, and he said, well, and I was quite shocked at his reaction. And he said, well, he's going to find it very difficult to turn this application down because it was already voted for by Henley Town Council. So he said, you know, so why should he then refuse it coming back again? If you know what I mean. I didn't know, and I said that was a different council then, back in 2016, 2017. And also, oh God, I can't remember where I am, but also what's it, like the metal cladding, it looks like a cheese grater, the stuff that they want to propose. And he said it doesn't really matter because you can't see it from the road. And I don't think that should be a reason to allow that, because it's ugly and it's awful and it's really not in keeping. Whether you can see it from the road or not, other people will see it where they live. You know. Okay,
we've got a comprehensive motion on the table here, so, and it's been seconded by yourself. So let's take it to the general vote now. All those in favour of the, sorry, Town Clerk wants to speak.
You have a motion that's been seconded, but it can be debated.
Okay.
Once it's seconded, then it can still be debated. And then after the debate,
I think Councillor Crook was making statements. I don't think she was making a proposal for an amendment.
No, I just don't want to.
Councillor Gavashak.
No, I think the Town Clerk is actually putting the procedural thing. A motion is proposed, someone speaks, it's seconded, someone speaks, then you open it up to the other councillors to lob in their views before the proposer sums up. Then a vote happens.
Okay.
What we've got to do is open it up to other councillors if they want to make comments.
Do you want to, does anybody else want to make a comment? No. Okay. I thought so. Okay.
So just to sum up.
Yes, Councillor Gavashak, you'd like to sum up?
Yeah, I'll just say exactly what I said at the beginning. So thank you.
Okay. Does the person... Deputy Clerk, Kath Adams, are you doing the minutes this evening? No, it's Jodie, you're doing the minutes. Okay. Did you get all of that down?
May I just add
Mrs.
something?
Scrivens, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the public participation section is concluded. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's go for the vote then, please. This is the motion is to refuse. All those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the next next item, which is P20 S0898, and this is householder 11 Grays Hill. Do I have any proposals, please? Yes, Councillor Plant. Sorry, Jodie would like to speak first. Sorry, Councillor Plant.
I just wanted to note that the first floor element of the rear extension has now been reduced to help address the concerns from the neighbouring property. That was all.
Thank you. Yes, Councillor Plant.
Yeah, I was just going to actually go for approval on this one initially, and I read it on the previous bit, so I was thinking refusal, but actually hearing from the owner of the property to which it's going to affect the most with the 4 roof lights and the compromise making in the amended plan, I see no reason to refuse, so recommend approval.
Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion? Yes, Councillor Romans, thank you. Okay, would anybody else like to speak? Councillor Arlott?
Yeah,
like to
Chairman,
speak?
we can only debate the plan in front of us, surely. You know, if they are going to change some roof lights or change whatever, that's going to have to come along with an amended application. It's okay them telling the neighbours they may well be doing this, that or the other, but that's not part of this application. So unless another amendment has come forward, which I can't see, I think we should discuss the application that's in front of us this evening.
Yes, Councillor Arlott does make a good point there. Town Clerk, do you have any advice for us?
Yes, indeed, it's correct that you should be considering the application in front of you.
Okay. Councillor Plants.
Happy to go for a refusal and wait for the new application to come in, if that's the mood.
Or amended application. Okay, so I have a seconder.
I'll second that.
Councillor Arlott, thank you. So that's been seconded. Okay, that we go for refusal. Would anybody else like to speak to this application? Yeah, Councillor Plant again.
I was just going to say, if they come back, if we add to it the note that if they come back with the amendment as discussed, that our view would be different. That's all.
Okay.
Just constructive.
Okay, are you happy with that amendment, Councillor Arlott?
No.
No. Okay.
I haven't seen the application. Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Okay. All right. So Councillor Plants, are you happy to keep yours as substantive, the original one, as a substantive motion?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not even sure I can pronounce that. Okay. So would anybody else like to speak before I put it to the vote? Okay. So this is all for refusal. All those in favour of refusal? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is P20 S1588 and this is 253 Grays Road. Jodie.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that the amended plans show that plot 1's been moved forward and plot 2 and 3 have been moved back. So they're in line with the neighbouring properties. But I don't consider this to address your previous concerns. The plans also show that additional tree planting is proposed along the frontage and to the rear. And I just wanted to note that the Highway Authority have no objection to the proposal. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any proposals? Yes, Councillor Plant.
Refusal.
Councillor Plant. Sorry, I didn't catch that.
I was going to say refusal. The biggest problem with this is the overdevelopment. I know there are many other points that we can add to it that we've added and listed before, but it's the most substantial one that hasn't been addressed. And it's great to come back with the answer or an attempt at an answer at the overdevelopment bit, but it's simply not the case. If we look at the other plots, the amount of space that those houses have between the boundary and how big those plots actually are, you look at kind of 267, and there's one of the residents that said it's 35 meters wide and provides 2 dwellings. this plot is only 30 metres wide and they're looking to provide 3 dwellings on it. So I don't think they have an answer for it not being an overdevelopment of the site. I think that alone is enough. Add to it the explanations and the objections that we've already used for refusal before, and I see no reason to support it.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Gavashak, thank you. Okay, would anybody else like to speak to this application? Yes, Councillor Clark.
Yeah, is it possible to just say they could put 2 houses on that plot instead of a 3?
That wasn't the actual motion that was put forward. If you like, what we can do is we can debate that afterwards, but the motion before us at the moment isn't for that. Councillor Gavashak, you'd like to speak?
Well, we can't, sorry, Chair, forgive me, we can't debate it afterwards because we have no plans in front of us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that is true. There's no basis for amendment there, Councillor Clark.
Yeah, I applaud Councillor Plant trying to be generous and welcoming and helpful in his comments. Second this, I mean, Lawrence has said it perfectly. It does not address the fundamental concern that we have that this is overdevelopment on this site, and they should come back with plans that are different.
Okay, would anybody else like to speak to this application before I put it to the vote? No, okay, I'm not seeing any hands going up, so let's put this to the vote then. The motion for is refusal. All those in favour? Okay, all those against? All those for? All that? Yeah. Councillor Arlett.
Abstain.
You're abstaining. Can I have that for the minutes, please? Okay, so that's carried. Thank you.
Chair.
Yeah.
Just to confirm, the minutes don't need to confirm who voted which way, unless councillor calls for that to be noted. The minutes simply have to say whether or not.
Councillor Arlett, Councillor Arlett, did you want that to be noted?
The councillor needs to state before the vote is taken if they wanted.
All right. Thank you, Town Clerk.
Chairman.
Yes.
I didn't know which way I was going to vote until the vote took place.
Oh, we'll put that down as a reason then.
Right, let's move on to the next one over the page, which is P20 S1660, and this is listed building consents, and this is 9 Gravel Hill. Do I have any proposals, please? Councillor Gavashak.
Well, I'll propose refusal on the same grounds, plus a few more. We've heard from members of the audience that in fact this is billed as being a purely internal alterations planning application, and it's pretty clear that in fact it's internal and external as well. So therefore we should recommend refusal on the grounds of substantial changes proposed, all the wording that we have on the committee papers, plus that this is an application that will substantially infringe the privacy and look for the neighbours in a very enclosed courtyard space.
Okay.
Or some planning words that Jodie can concoct, please.
Okay, thank you. So that's a motion for refusal. Is that seconded? Councillor Craig, thank you.
Can I speak?
Yes, you can speak, yeah.
Also concern about with the shower that it could endanger the fabric of the 3 buildings, the 2 either side, the water damage from the shower
Yeah, I mean, I think that comes under Councillor Gavashak's general concerns, which Jodie will address in her her item. So it's been seconded. Would anybody else like to speak? No, but no other councillors would like to speak, I can see. So Councillor Gavashak, would you like to sum up again, or are you happy?
Same as I've already said, thank you.
Okay, right, let's put this to the vote then. All those in favour, please, of refusal. Okay, thank you. That's carried.
Abstain, Chairman.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Right, that was stated before, so that can go on the minutes, can't it? That abstention.
If it's on grounds of
yeah, because he did
conflict of
declare an
interest and
interest before.
it's indeed
The
that is absolutely
non-pecuniary one, yeah. All right, thank you.
Sorry, Chairman, can I just explain why to the town clerk? The reason I'm abstaining on 2 or 3 applications, because they may well go to SODC, Planning Committee, and I can't make a decision for and against here, otherwise I won't be able to speak at SODC. It's as simple as that. So that's why I'd like the abstention on the record, if anybody was to query it, if I were to speak at SODC planning meetings.
Okay, I have no objection to that at all.
Thank you.
Okay, shall we move on to plans new, councillors? Let's go on to plans new, which is item 11 on your agenda. The first one for consideration is P20 S1688, which is a full application. It's for 130 West Street. Jodie.
So I'd suggest that this was taken together with the next application, which is the listed building.
Yes, I'm happy to.
So I've got the same comment for both. So these are grade 2 listed slabs, and the excavation could have the potential to impact upon these heritage assets with their archaeological interests. So that's just to note.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any proposals? Yes, Councillor Plants.
Propose acceptance so long as the slabs go back in exactly the same condition, exactly the same manner, facing, cleanliness, etc. as they came out. It's happened once or twice in the town that slabs have gone missing or been changed or replaced with a lesser quality. As long as that is not the case here, then I propose acceptance.
Okay, so this is for acceptance with a caveat, as stated by Councillor Plant, that the slabs are put back in exactly the same place. Is that seconded? Sorry, who's seconding? Are you seconding, Councillor Crook and Gavashak?
Yeah, I'm seconding.
Yeah, okay, Councillor Gavashak, thank you for seconding. Okay, would anybody else like to speak?
I'll just speak briefly on it. There is a very good county archaeological report within the planning documents that actually say that if this is passed, then there should be substantial caveats on the planning application, which I'm sure will follow. These tiles were actually put in by George Harrison. They are small yellow tiles, and I've had a bit of experience of them because we had to put some drainage channels in those tiles down the whole of West Street when we were relaying the tiles. So therefore they're very, very sensitive. But I'm sure that with proper planning reasons and caveats, that in fact the tiles will be lifted, the ducting will go underneath, and they will be put down properly again. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so would anybody else like to speak? Councillor Crick.
Yeah, I was just wondering, Stefan's actually clarified my point, because I was wondering what I was reading when it said George Harrison's tiles, and I was thinking, have they got that correct? You cleared that up now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Would anybody else? Yes, Councillor Gavashak.
Well, he was just very, very proud of the street. He used to walk from Friar Park down to the road barge for a pint and to go down the Red Lion Lawn, and he was incredibly proud of the street and to try and retain the historic aspects of it. So that's why they were there. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for reminding us of that. Would any other councillors like to speak? No, okay. So this is a motion for approval with the caveat that the all of these special tiles of note are saved and put back in exactly the same places which they are now. All those in favour? That's unanimous, thank you. Right, so the next item is P20. That's carried, by the way. Did I say that? All right, next one, P20 S1970. This is a householder application for 37 Deanfield Road. Do I have any proposals? Councillor Gavashak.
I propose acceptance. It's acceptable. Thank you.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Plants. Thank you. Would anybody like to speak? Any other councillors? No. Okay, let's put it to the vote then. All those in favour of acceptance? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Okay, on to page 5, please. This is a full application, P20 S2002, and it's for Parkside, Henley-on-Thames. Do I have any proposers, please? Councillor Gavashak.
Yes, I'd like to propose refusal of this, and if it's seconded, I will speak.
Councillor Clark, seconded. Thank you.
Yes, yeah, refusal of this. We've had many applications for this site over the years, and we've consistently refused them for very good reasons. Firstly, it's not in our neighbourhood plan, and this was identified in our neighbourhood plan that, and it was a site that was taken out of the neighbourhood, our last neighbourhood plan. So therefore it's not in the neighbourhood plan, therefore it shouldn't be built on. And I think the people who spoke in public participation made a very coherent case about the wildlife and the environmental trees. And as Mr. Cooper said, this is a priority habitat under the Environmental Act 2006. So therefore it should be preserved. I agree with him about the wildlife corridor aspects of it. This is a lovely area for transitioning of wildlife from place A to B. And my comments on the arboricultural and also the ecological is, do these people have a conscience? These are beautiful trees with beautiful habitats. And here we've got supposed experts taking a buck, being paid to actually spout complete and utter rubbish. And I think the sooner the wildlife industry actually starts getting some principles behind their reports, then they are doing us and also the neighbourhood and the residents a disservice. So I speak strongly in favour of refusal of this site, and it should be a site that's called in, and we should go up en masse to SODT to speak against it.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Gavashak. So just to sum up where we are right now, we have a motion for strong refusal on the grounds that Councillor Gavashak has stated. It's been seconded. Would any other councillors like to speak?
Yeah.
Councillor Crook.
Yeah, the fact is that ecologically, sorry, can't speak tonight. Ecological photos are misleading because they aren't showing the great big oaks that are smack bang in the middle of the development and they want to get rid of, and it's quite heartbreaking actually. And also I was reading the report and it said, I don't know if this is correct, but it said it was a gravel pit. So would that not be a grounds for it to be refused? So, you know, unless they got that wrong. No, but we should keep this. You know.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Crook. Councillor Arlett.
Could I just pick up a point that Councillor Gavashak stated? which was because it's not in the neighbourhood plan, we shouldn't support it. I don't believe that should be part of the reasons that put forward for refusal. You know, just because it didn't go in the last neighbourhood plan, it doesn't need to say that it couldn't go in the review. So I don't think that is a proper reason. You can give the reasons why it wasn't in the neighbourhood plan, and you might want to use those for refusal reasons. But I think just simply because it wasn't in the neighbourhood plan last time, I don't believe is a reason for refusal. I may well be wrong, but I don't think so.
Let's hear from Councillor Plant, and then we'll go back to Councillor Gavashak.
It's just on that. I thought that we had used it's not in the neighbourhood plan as a reason for refusal before on other sites. I thought that was one of the reasons that we create the neighbourhood plan.
Yeah.
Councillor Gavashak.
Well, I'll have to respectfully disagree with the mayor on this. If this site comes into the review of the neighbourhood plan, that's something for the future. We are talking about the old neighbourhood plan. This was a site that was viewed in the old neighbourhood plan and was soundly rejected. Now, that definitely is a material planning reason and why I will strongly want it to be out as the header for this refusal.
Okay, all right. Well, let's put it to the vote then. It's been seconded, so let's put it to the vote. All those in favour of refusal, please. Okay. All those against? Okay. Thank you. That's carried.
Abstain, Chairman.
Okay. Thank you. Are we allowed to note that, Town Clerk?
If you would, please.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Right, let's go to the next one, please, which is P20 S2017. It's a householder application, 3 Chiltern Close. Jodie, do you have any observations?
I didn't have any concerns with this one.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any proposals? Yes, Councillor Plant.
Approval.
Okay. Is that seconded?
Yeah.
Yeah, Councillor Arlett, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Councillor Crook.
Can I have 6 bedrooms? It's quite a lot. That's my concern, was that I think it's going to be quite a big house when it's finished. That's my concern. I think it's quite 6 bedrooms. Why does someone really need 6 bedrooms?
There's lots of houses far bigger in Henley.
That's right.
If we're going to have like sensible things, then let's put them forward. But if not, that's
that's all. Because 6, just observation.
It's you know,
one for every day of the week, Donna.
Okay, well listen, we have a motion on the table here which is for approval. It's been seconded. Let's put it to the vote. Okay, all those in favour of the motion? Okay, all those against? Okay, it's carried, thank you. Next one is P20 S2058. It's a full application and it's for garages behind 16 to 18 New Street. Jodie, do you have any observations, please?
I didn't have concerns with this one.
Okay, thank you. Yes, Councillor Gavashak, do you have a proposal?
I propose acceptance. There is a comment about the archaeological caveat that would be put on it, that when they are demolished and re-erected, they've got to take care of the archaeology below the surface. So propose acceptance subject to that. Thank you.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Plant, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? Yes, Councillor Clark.
Yes, are they using the same materials on the new garages being built? So it's not out of character with the buildings around it?
Jodie, do you have any comments on that?
I don't know off the top of my head.
I think they're new.
Yeah, I think it's new. You could.
New. They're new.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that clarification. Okay, so we have a proposal for acceptance, and this is with the caveats to the archaeological requirements. It's been seconded. No other councillor wishes to speak, so let's put the motion to the vote. All those in favour? Okay, that's carried, thank you. And the last one here for plans new is P20 S2061. It's listed building consent. Jodie, do you have any observations?
I didn't have concerns. I just could note that the materials used to replace the wall could be conditioned to the satisfactory of the conservation officer.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any proposals, please? Yes, councillor Plant.
Yeah, approval, exactly as Jodie said, as long as they take into consideration how it should be. I'm sure they will do anyway, but maybe reiterate it, but otherwise straightforward approval.
Okay, do I have a seconder? Councillor Clark, thank you. Would any other councillor like to speak? No, just cough.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. All right, thank you. Let's put this to the vote. It's been the motion is for approval and it's been accepted. This is subject to the conservation officer being satisfied. All those in favour? That's carried. Thank you.
Well done, Chair.
Yes. Who was speaking? Sorry.
That was me. I was just congratulating you on getting through those plans. Well done.
Oh,
thank you.
Well, no, well done to all of you.
Well, we haven't finished yet, so
No,
keep
you certainly
going.
haven't.
You're doing well.
Yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's not stop now.
Oh.
Okay, so item number 12, we just have to note that there's a withdrawn application here, which is good news for Henley. We'll have to keep an eye on this one and make sure it doesn't pop up again.
What page is that? Sorry.
Yes, sorry, go ahead, Councillor Crook.
What page was that? Sorry.
We're on page 6.
Red Lion Hotel.
We're noting the withdrawn application.
Yeah. Yes, that's fantastic. We just need a rich person now to buy it.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a certain hotel group that wants to purchase it. The one that wants to go in the car park.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is the objections and calling applications. Do I have any proposals? Yes, Councillor Gavishak.
Yeah, a few. Yeah, the first one, land to the rear of 16 Reading Road, of course. 253 Grays Road, the one that we don't like 3 dwellings on. Gravel Hill.
Number?
P20, 9 Gravel Hill, sorry. The conservation building. And Parkside. Yeah, Parkside, that's it from me.
Yeah, okay, that's Councillor Plant agrees. Councillor Crook.
The Reading Road.
Already done.
Yeah, we've mentioned, yeah, we've said that one.
Yeah.
Any other councillor would like to speak? Okay, so Councillor Gavishak and Councillor Arlett, are you happy to call those ones in? I mean, I know the full one will come up anyway, but yeah, Councillor Arlett.
I'll do 253 Reading Road, Parkside, and 16 Reading Road if Councillor Gavishak would do 9 Gravel Hill.
Yes, will do. This is, of course, subject to a vote on Thursday, Ken.
That's true.
Councillor Clark, did you want to speak?
Yes, thank you. I believe Councillor Arlett said 253 Reading Road. Is that?
I did, sorry.
Grays Road.
Grays Road, you're right.
He's just got it on the brain. Having nightmares repetitively.
Thank you, Councillor Clark, for spotting that mistake.
Okay, thank you. So just for the benefit of any members of the public that are still listening in, when it's called in, it means that it will be heard at South Oxfordshire District Council. If the officer is of the different opinion to Henley Town Council. Okay, yes, Councillor Arlett, would you like to add to that?
Not necessarily, Chairman. They're hoping to change the criteria on Thursday at SODC, where the final decision will go to the Chief Planning Officer. But we will see.
Oh, so has that actually, in terms of democracy, has that been scrutinised by the Democracy Committee?
As Kenneth Wolstenholme said, they think it's all over. Oh, but it's not, sorry. No,
which committee? Sorry, just for clarification, which
Right.
committee is considering this on Thursday?
The
Yes.
full council. So therefore, that is the ultimate decision-making body. There are two things. The first thing is the head of planning at the moment has a veto on our call-ins as ward councillors. That's we don't like. And secondly, the parishes are no longer allowed to do. If there is a difference between, if a parish says no and a planning officer says yes, the parish voice is not heard. Both of those things are coming up on Thursday, and both of those things we are putting amendments down to get them rejected. And I think it's completely anti-democratic that in fact a Liberal Green coalition are trying to force these things through.
I'm absolutely floored by that, I have to say.
Yep. Yes. So are we.
Good old Liberals and Greens.
Wow. Okay. Would you mind keeping the planning committee updated?
Oh, I think there'll be a full report in the district councillors' reports, and also the next planning committee. Yes, we will tell you what happens blow by blow.
Is this? Sorry, I've just got one more question before we move on. Yep. Is this related to COVID-19 or is this permanent?
The rules of planning meetings were changed because of COVID, but they were changed to virtual meetings. None of this has been discussed about the change to ward councillors' roles or parish council roles. So none of this has been discussed, but it is coming up on Thursday to be discussed, and it's completely and utterly wrong. I think we might have a little bit of a rant on Thursday about it.
Yeah, I should think so
Quite
too.
rightly.
Yeah, goodness
I
me.
asked for it to be postponed until we get back to normal.
Okay, councillors, let's move on. Item 13, we've done the item 13. We've got a list of these call-ins. Let's see what happens. Number 14, decision notices. We just note the decision notices that have come in from SODC. And number 15, the Climate Emergency 2030 Working Group. We just need to note the minutes of that informal meeting. And number 16, the neighbourhood planning is again to receive the minutes of the last meeting. And turning over the page to page 7, the slipway on Friday Street. Jodie, our planning officer, is going to give us an update there.
Thank you. So the breach of planning control at the slipway, Friday Street, which has been filled in, has been reported to planning enforcement at SODC. They're currently investigating this breach. They have confirmed that it would require planning permission, and they're currently liaising with the conservation teams and the ecology teams, and they want to work with us to resolve this situation. I'm also in dialogue with the Environment Agency about the permits and permissions that are required and the actions that they will be taking over this as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have we got a way for the purposes of the agenda to actually monitor this situation we've got at Friday Street. What would you like? How would you like to monitor it, Jodie?
Yeah, I'll just be dealing with it when it comes through. So SODC planning enforcement are going to contact me in terms of the next steps, and then I can just keep it going.
Okay, just notify us when you need to speak about it again, so we can add it to the agenda. Thank you. Do councillors have any questions for our planning officer?
Yeah.
Councillor Crook, yes.
Who actually owns that slipway?
Well, town clerk can answer that one. Thank you.
Matters around ownership and public access rights are being dealt with, but they're being dealt with separately by the Finance Strategy and Management Committee. So this committee is simply concerned with the planning enforcement issues around the site.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, Councillor Arlott.
I thought Councillor Gavishak was bringing in the diggers from the Finance Committee. Has that stopped?
Councillor Gavishak.
If only it was just my vote. Returning to the question that Councillor Crook said about ownership, the answer is it's not owned by anybody at the moment. It is not registered on the land registry, and I have that from OCC that in fact it's not registered. So therefore, which they actually say is common for public rights. So it is a public right, in my opinion. I'll say it is a public right. It is a public access. It's not registered, but it is the public's, and it should always remain the public's. And we should, yes, definitely get the diggers in.
Councillor Crook.
How can they have just done? Who actually did it?
Yeah, okay, we don't need to go into
Okay,
detail.
yeah, let's move on. Sorry, Councillor Crook. Councillor Plant, did you want to speak?
Only that we've discussed this already, but
yes.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much for that update, councillors and Jodie. Let's move on to the note the progress report on page 27. Are there any updates, please, from councillors involved in these? Yes, Councillor Gavishak.
Well, item 1, the Grays Road crossing. Kath received a report that the Grays Road crossing came in under budget. I was trying to work out how much under budget it was. Anyway, we paid less than what we said, and I think that will.
Yes,
I think
Deputy
the
Clerk.
figures will come out soon.
It was just under 3,000 less.
Yeah.
So about 10%, is that 10%? Thereabouts?
That's Christmas drinks taken care of.
Okay, any other items on the reports that councillors would like to speak to? Yes, Councillor Gavishak.
Traffic matters.
Yeah.
Traffic matters. 3 items are added to the progress report. Right, bollards on River Terrace done.
Yes.
Footbath on River Terrace doing. The refurbishment of the path was started today and should be completed by the end of the week. So that's really good news. And yellow lines on the bridge done.
Done. Yeah.
Have
Okay,
you sent a photo of that to Will, just so that he knows?
I haven't yet.
You must text him, Stefan.
In fact,
can someone park there just to prove they're useful?
In fact, I could park Will's wagon there.
But you won't get a policeman to come and remove you. There's no police.
True.
Okay, sorry, somebody had their hand up. Councillor Arlott.
Could I just ask a question? Did Wokingham pay half of that?
The Wokingham, I'd just like to say that the Wokingham side of the bridge, the double yellow lines on the Wokingham side of the bridge have been done much better than the yellow lines on our side of the bridge. and I'm annoyed about that.
Councillor Crook, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, it's talking
Yes.
about station car park. Being as what
Yes.
going back to saying about the Red Lion, is there any way we could persuade that particular company to go and purchase the Red Lion instead of using up the car park, station car park?
Okay.
I think it's a real space parking because we're struggling for parking as it is. You know, it would make more sense.
With the situation with the station car park is that the Office of the Rail and Road, which is an independent authority that oversees the regulation of the regulator for the railways, they've approved the disposal of that. So the next time we have a say in this is when it comes to planning.
Just
now, if anybody wants to suggest to the hotel company that they have a look at the Red Lion, then we can't stop you as a councillor. Councillors can do that.
Might do that actually, but
If you want to
also
take that on, Councillor Crook.
Yeah. Also, being as the station car park isn't quite full, people are still, and it really annoys me because it's a fire risk. People still are not. Some people are being cheapskates and not parking in parking bays. They're parking down by where is it the nursery, Treetops Nursery is, and it's a fire risk because someone with a great big car and the other lorries. There was a fire, say, at the care home, and they couldn't get past.
Can we put this as an item? It's not an item on the agenda.
Councillor Crook, Councillor Gavashak, is that an OCC question or is that for the railway, for the railways, Great Western Railway?
It's
Network
a privately owned car park, so it's for the
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, it's for the fire service and the private car park owner.
No,
yeah. So again, a councillor, if you want to take that up separately,
who do
you're
I
very
take it
welcome to.
The railway car park.
GWR.
Yeah, it doesn't belong to OCC.
So it's the GWR. Okay, yeah, fine.
Okay, right. So, and then just moving on to the last progress reports. This is the last agenda item 19. This is the called in applications. Does anybody want to speak to any of these?
But just one
Yeah,
question,
Councillor
Chairman.
Arlott, yeah.
Why have we got items on there that are complete? That's the only question I'd ask.
Well, I think what we're doing is, and Jodie, correct me if I'm wrong, what we're doing is we're listing every single one. This is the first time they've been listed. We're listing them right from the moment they're called in to when they're concluded. So now that we've noted that they're concluded, they can come off. So on the next progress report, you won't see them. They'll be struck from the report.
Okay, all right.
Yep. Okay. That's it. That concludes the meeting at, 20:50.